Not even Discount Tuesday could save Rachel Zegler from the ultimate Hollywood horror, watching her own film fail in real time while seated in a nearly empty theater. The woke Snow White remake didn't just fail, it completely disappeared, leaving only 23-year-old Zegler and a few friends who were willing to risk their lives to see the devastation up close. This was a harsh reality check for an actress who was once heralded as Hollywood's next big thing. The box office figures are now calling back, and it's obvious that nobody came. The woke Snow White actress took a few devoted friends, including Maria Isabel de Masson, Jorge Mason Remy, and Ilda Mason, to see her own film on March 25, 2025, in what appeared to be a deserted theater. We also had a front row seat to the cringe, with hardly anyone else around thanks to Ilda's Instagram stories. Rachel awkwardly laughed and applauded for herself when Ilda yelled Ziegler's name as it appeared on the screen. The group made an effort to maximize the space, though it's unclear if they rented out the theater or if the empty seats were a result of the film. As part of a viral trend, they even went up to a royal staff member and said, "2 tickets, please." "For which movie?" he asked innocently. They appeared utterly perplexed as the camera panned to them holding their souvenir cup and popcorn bucket with a Snow White theme.
Please?
For which movie?
As though the evening couldn't get any more cruelly ironic, Zegler held a bouquet of flowers, which was probably a token of sympathy from her friends because there were no awards being given out by the box office. The kissing in this film is the lowest point. Even though it appears that Rachel may have played Snow White, Disney's woke Snow White is more than just a failure, as evidenced by its poor opening weekend receipts of $43 million and its meager $3,500,000 Thursday preview receipts. Compared to the $95 million debut of The Little Mermaid remake, this one is pricey. This catastrophe does not even occur in the same ocean. Not to mention Dumbo, yes, Dumbo, which, despite having a far smaller budget, earned nearly the same amount during its first weekend of release. Budgets aside, the production of Snow White cost more than $250 million, not including marketing. Critics are having a field day right now because movie theaters appear to be more empty than ever. Photos of audience members appearing utterly alone in their rows and seating charts with hardly any tickets sold are all over social media. Additionally, some people are urging a GoFundMe to help Disney break even because the internet never misses an opportunity to make a joke. An old clip of Zegler reappeared after the Disney remake failed at the box office, and let's just say it did not hold up over time. Despite Rachel Zegler's audacious claim that audiences would line up to see her movies, all that's left are the receipts, which all point to Snow White being a royal catastrophe. She fervently declares in the now viral video that she hopes people will line up to see her in spite of her flaws and cracks.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
In the present, the internet is the only thing standing in line, ready to roast her. Across the nation, theaters were empty, ticket sales were appalling, and critics were quick to criticize her. In plain terms, one user wrote, "Welcome back to reality, princess. Snow White was a total failure." By reposting the video on X and reminding everyone that Snow White is officially Disney's worst-performing live-action remake in decades, Ian Miles Chong fanned the flames.
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
It appears that there were other objects crashing and burning besides Snow White, as was Rachel Zegler's relationship with co-star Gal Gadot. Variety recently revealed the shocking details of the chaos that went on behind the scenes at Disney's most recent catastrophe, and Zegler was at the heart of it all. Executives were already feeling uneasy about Zegler's out-of-pocket remarks disparaging the original Snow White, according to unnamed but highly connected Disney sources. However, they remained silent rather than controlling her. The actual mess followed. Zegler was all charm and smiles when she took the stage at Disney's D23 event, until she shocked everyone by making a daring and unexpected political statement at the end of her post. Disney executives were shaken. Their $270 million fairy tale had just turned into a full-fledged political storm, and damage control became the studio's top priority. You can bet that Disney immediately went into panic mode.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Jonah Platt has now intervened to criticize Zegler harshly for this. Let's just say that Jonah, the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, did not hold back when he criticized Rachel Zegler for the film's dismal box office performance in an Instagram comment that has since been removed. Jonah revealed that his father had to literally board an airplane to chastise Zegler for incorporating her personal politics into the movie's promotional tour, according to Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and People. Jonah wrote, "This is known as adult responsibility and accountability. Mark Platt even flew to New York to personally plead with Zegler to calm down, but she wasn't really having it at the time," he said bluntly, adding that her actions obviously hurt the movie's success. In the meantime, Zegler and Gal Gadot's relationship, let's just say their mirror-mirror dynamic took a turn for the worse, and the post remained up for a while. Insiders said they were all smiles while filming, but the lead-up to the release quickly became awkward. And it doesn't end there either. Following their awkward 2025 Oscars presentation together, Zegler made what many perceived as a backhanded remark about Gadot in an Instagram reply, calling her a professional pageant queen. The comment was viewed as dubious on the internet, and Disney insiders concurred that it seemed contemptuous of a fellow actress. However, as you can see, tension was already present behind the scenes. Gadot and Zegler ended up on opposing sides of a contentious political issue.
Zegler also faced blowback after posting Free Palestine. Gadot is from Israel and served in the Israeli army.
Gadot reportedly faced significant difficulties as a result of Zegler's posts expressing biased political support, as she was the focus of harsh criticism and even threats to her safety because of her background. Disney had to cough up money for additional security for the mother of four because things got so bad. She was unaware of how her actions would affect Gal, the movie, and everyone else. As if that weren't enough, the $270 million disaster of a movie was already losing money because of expensive reshoots and Zegler's endlessly contentious takes. The last straw was when Zegler posted on Instagram following the presidential election saying, "May Trump supporters never know peace." At that moment, Disney executives went into a complete meltdown after hearing that one sentence. She was turning off half of the potential audience for a film that was already doomed, and the studio had had enough. Disney made a final attempt at Hail Mary. Twice, producer Mark Platt personally traveled to meet her. After much back and forth, Zegler ultimately consented to collaborate with a Disney-paid social media specialist to approve each and every post prior to the movie's March 21st release. Online feud watchers are back at it just when you thought the drama between Zegler and Gadot had subsided, this time due to a conspicuous omission in Zegler's most recent Instagram post on March 20th, just hours before Snow White hobbled into theaters. Zegler gushed about the world's greatest crew and called the movie a life-changing experience. She spoke eloquently about how she spent 3 wonderful summers in London falling in love with the team she worked with, but who was noticeably absent from this romantic celebration. No pictures, no mention of Gal Gadot, and the internet noticed, of course. Now, is this merely a harmless mistake? Yes, but it's difficult to avoid seeing this as just another overt slight when you consider Zegler's Oscar night jab and all the drama behind the scenes. And if Snow White's appalling box office performance wasn't already a nightmare straight out of a fairy tale, the drama doesn't end there. It's definitely not helping that Rachel Zegler is the subject of whirling controversies. The internet went crazy as soon as Disney announced Zegler as their new Snow White. Similar to the criticism Halle Bailey received when she was chosen to play Ariel in The Little Mermaid, some critics objected to a Latina actress portraying the Palekin princess, but Zegler didn't hold back. She responded to the indignant keyboard warriors with a since-deleted social media post that read, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." She even referred to her detractors as losers who were fixated on preserving the cartoon princess's bloodline purity, according to the Wall Street Journal. The storm wasn't exactly calmed by that. While controversy can occasionally spur a movie's success, Zegler acknowledged the craze surrounding her casting in a 2022 Variety interview with Andrew Garfield, acknowledging that she had become a trending topic because of irate people. However, Snow White isn't experiencing that kind of magic. As you can see, Zegler's Snow White has been up against a steep hill ever since it was revealed, and her own remarks regarding the narrative haven't helped either. When Zegler referred to the original 1937 Snow White plot as weird in a 2022 interview with Extra, it caused a stir. She referred to Prince Charming when she said there's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her weird.
She's not going to be safe with a prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Disney had previously alluded to updating the Snow White remake, but Zegler's language gave the impression that she was flatly rejecting the cherished romance of the original movie. But it was her statement that they were approaching the movie in a different way that really got people talking. Snow White, the first full-length animated Disney film, is a classic for a reason, according to critics, who accused her of disparaging the very movie she was meant to be celebrating. Some pointed out the irony. Why accept the role if you detest the story so much? Disney's live-action Snow White wasn't just creating drama over Zegler's casting, as one fan wrote on X. Just when things couldn't get any messier, the controversy went much deeper. Oh no. Regarding the movie's treatment of the Seven Dwarfs, Peter Dinklage had a lot to say. The Game of Thrones star didn't hold back in 2022 when he appeared on Mark Moron's WTF podcast. He thought it was hypocritical for Disney to commend itself for using a Latina actress for Snow White while continuing to tell a story about seven dwarfs. He found the contradiction offensive.
Progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
He wondered how a studio could maintain what he considered to be an antiquated depiction of dwarfs coexisting in a cave while promoting progress in another area. His direct criticism sparked an online firestorm. Women soon came out to weigh in on this controversy as well.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
While some argued that Peter was eliminating roles for actors with dwarfism, others applauded him for pointing out Disney's selective approach to advancement. Disney obviously paid attention to the heated debate. Disney quickly responded to the criticism the following day, announcing in a statement that they were rethinking their strategy for the Seven Dwarfs and that they had been talking to people in the dwarfism community. In the end, that alternative strategy meant doing away with the traditional Seven Dwarfs completely. What did they use in their place? Dwarfs and CGI fans essentially recoiled at the sight of Disney's computer-generated dwarfs, and the backlash was swift and severe. The photorealistic method is completely ineffective.
That is totally uplifting and the right way to be woke, Link, when you actually cancel the roles for the marginalized population, because just putting them on screen is somehow racist.
These computer-generated characters lacked the expressiveness and charm of the original animated characters, instead appearing stiff, unnatural, and, well, just plain strange. Suddenly, another chapter in Snow White's protracted, disorganized story turned into yet another topic of discussion. The real question, though, was whether Disney would continue to walk the red carpet or cover this mess under the rug after all the drama. As it happens, they chose the latter. Variety claims that Disney decided to forego the customary fanfare in favor of a modest pre-party during the day on March 15th, which was followed by a subdued screening at the venerable El Capitol Theater in Hollywood. The hush-hush treatment was even extended to the European premiere, Disney hidden it away in a castle in northern Spain, rather than the typical glamorous event in Leicester Square, London. What does this indicate then? Lack of assurance, apprehension about causing a stir, or perhaps a tacit admission that the movie might fall short? Regardless, this muted premiere seemed like another indication that Disney was preparing for impact for a project already engulfed in scandal. With a lackluster opening, unrelenting criticism, and a box office showing that fell short of the $270 million budget. As the dust settles, the true question is, how did Disney go so wrong with Snow White? Snow White was more than just a fairy tale, it was a cautionary tale. Tell us in the comments what you think of the Snow White remake's PR nightmare. This is the next video you should watch if you want to see more of the Snow White drama.